Hello, my name is Andrew. In May of 2023, I graduated from the University of Minnesota with a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering and mechanics, and minors in insect science and astrophysics. I was the inaugural president of the student liquid rocketry team as it grew out of a project within another organization. In my time there, I built 2 avionics bays for solid rockets, one of which flew to an altitude over 1 kilometer, tested our liquid rocket engine, which was fired successfully, and constructed a second, larger liquid rocket test stand. I conducted a research project studying edible insects as a food source for space, submitted a design proposal to a NASA challenge, and constructed a prototype, and traveled twice to present my ideas across the country, and worked as a planetarium guide at the university's Natural History Museum. In the 2.5 years since I obtained this degree, I have applied to about 550 job openings in multiple industries, including space, medical device, aviation, nuclear energy, and various everyday engineering companies. Half have rejected me. The other half have sent no response at all. 3% have bothered to interview me, and 0 have offered me a job. What I have observed as I have navigated this job search is a system that is corrupted and convoluted to the point of complete inefficiency. We have accepted this awful system as fact, and as we have progressively made it worse, we have slowly turned all hiring and job search strategy toward working around huge problems that should not exist in the first place. Companies are maintaining several practices that range from lazy to outright corrupt, which are damaging the lives of young people such as myself who want to contribute meaningfully to the world and have opportunity within it. This problem is bigger in scale than individual companies or industries. There is something deeply ingrained in the way that we deal with jobs and the way we perceive money in our society that is currently catastrophically broken. I initially intended to release these thoughts after I'd found a job because what I'm about to say will sound negative, counter to the eager and enthusiastic demeanor I am supposed to project to hiring committees, and it will sound like I'm essentially bad-mouthing a bunch of companies for not hiring me. However, as the job search has worn on with no end in sight, I have decided that what I have to say should not wait. I will be naming names of companies. I will be saying some things that wouldn't fly in an interview. This is not an attack toward any particular company, nor a complaint over any particular rejection. This is just a description of my experience and what I think it means. So, at risk of going from 99.93% unhireable to 100% unhireable, the following is my message to the world. So, my degree is in aerospace engineering. I chose this degree because rocket launches are the coolest damn things on the planet, because every time I get on a plane and take off, it puts a huge Kerbal smile on my face, and because all my life I have looked deep into the field of stars which surrounds us and never wanted anything more than to physically travel there, to experience the fact of being on another world. When people think of engineers, they often think of the benefit that engineers can bring to society by solving challenging problems in creative ways, and they think of the amazement at the contraptions we dream up, whether they blow up or not. So here I am. This piece of paper says I'm an engineer, but for some reason I am not being allowed to make those contributions. I am not being allowed to have money, which in our culture roughly equates to participation in society. During this time, my skills have been wasted and my life has been put on hold. Several factors have come together to give me this experience, and while my job search is not representative of everyone's experience, mine is far more common of a story than is healthy for our society. So let's look at some specifics from my job search that help piece together the situation from my limited vantage point. My number of applications is about 550. My number of rejections is 293. I've had 17 first interviews and 6 second interviews. From these numbers, it's pretty simple to estimate how many applications I need to send to have a decent chance at an offer. Most companies seem to have about 3 stages of interviews, with about 1 to 2 introductory or technical interviews, followed by a panel or in-person interview. So the chance of getting a job per application is the chance of getting a first interview after applying times the chance of getting a second interview after the first, times the chance of getting the third or in-person interview after the second, times the chance of getting an offer after the third interview. In college, before I started my search, I knew the situation was bad. I expected that I would need to send on the order of 100 applications to secure an offer. Once I started applying and collecting this data, I quickly settled on a new estimate which has remained more or less constant as my sample size has increased. I measured the first two fractions across 500 applications. I can guess the third to be no better than 1 in 6, since I haven't really gotten there after 6 tries. And I estimate the last to be around 1/3 optimistically to 1/5 pessimistically, based on the number of candidates I'd expect to find at each stage. This generally gives me an estimate of 1 in 1,500 to 1 in 3,000 offers per application. At 1 application per day, this means I can expect to get my first entry-level job in just 4 to 8 years. At 10 applications per day, I can cut that down to about half a year to 1 year. This is totally outrageous, completely unreasonable, and yet, here I am. 2 years in, still living these numbers. The duration of my job search has been equivalent to that of a round trip to Mars. If I'd done graduate school, I could have a master's degree right now. And if I'd been hired right away, I would have made almost $200,000 at this moment, most of which would have been redistributed back into the economy to the benefit of countless other people and businesses. In any case, I'd be a lot further along in my goal to become prepared to be an astronaut. When I've described my situation to the people around me, the universal consensus I've heard is that it's very difficult to find a job right now. Everyone knows someone who has had extreme difficulty, whether they're newly graduated or highly experienced. Classmates, friends, siblings of friends, acquaintances, headhunters, recruiters, career counselors, old and experienced engineers, professors from the opposite side of the planet, all tell the same story. I do not think this problem is constrained to the space industry. I do not think it is constrained to the engineering industry. I think this is a systemic problem affecting every job in every industry, which requires deep intervention on government, industry, and community fronts. Interestingly, SpaceX were the most responsive company, giving me quite a few of my interviews and often letting me into the second round. But I felt like there was a decrease in their response rate after I applied to about 60 jobs in one day, even though all were openings that I believe I'm qualified for and would be very excited to do. It's said in various generic how to get a job articles that applying for large numbers of jobs is seen as a red flag, a sign that you're desperate for work. But the number of applications I need to send in the first place is staggering. Each rare time I get invited for an interview, that email thread becomes my only hope for a career. And every time I wait for weeks after an interview, that hope is shattered. What can I be but desperate? I think that SpaceX engineers of all people will appreciate that the reason I have this attitude is I have run the numbers to back it up. And the math says I need to apply to thousands of openings to be seen. In one of my interviews with SpaceX, the interviewer called me at the scheduled time and told me very apologetically that the position had been filled 5 minutes before, and that they would look for other possible openings for me. I've heard this statement many times across my journey of perpetual misfortune. Your resume is on file, we'll contact you when we open a suitable position, and even one interview at Stratasys where after waiting a couple weeks and emailing them for an update, they promptly responded, "Oh, we're not actively hiring for this position right now, but we'll get back to you when we open it up again." Why did you waste your own time interviewing me then, let alone mine? Obviously, they never called me back for that like they promised. The closest I've seen to evidence this mask of courtesy is any more than a lie is 2 rejections for jobs I hadn't applied to, both of which containing the word senior in the title, which, were you even trying? SpaceX and Blue Origin are both companies that build and fly reusable rockets. Their job postings are very similar, rightly so. They need the same skills and knowledge. I have applied quite a bit to both companies. What's very interesting is that while SpaceX has given me interviews many times, I have never been called for an interview by Blue Origin. The difference between them, as far as I can tell, is that SpaceX hosts their jobs on an internet platform called Greenhouse, and Blue Origin hosts theirs on My Workday. Collins was the most negatively responsive company, thoroughly rejecting almost all of my applications. They also use My Workday. 3M gave me a $40,000 scholarship to get the degree I am now trying to bring to their business. They use My Workday. My Workday doesn't let me through. Stoke Space and Relativity use Greenhouse. At those companies, I got interviews very quickly. Another very interesting thing is that one of my classmates who was on the same liquid rocketry team that I was on and also worked on my insect project got an offer at Blue Origin. So besides the fact it seems that Greenhouse works on my resume and My Workday doesn't, another key difference between the two is that Greenhouse has a good user experience and My Workday has an awful user experience. To upload an application through Greenhouse, you upload your resume, answer any legal questions, and maybe a couple short paragraph prompts from the company, and you send it. On My Workday, you need to first create a new account and password for every company you apply to, then upload your resume, then copy every bit of information that was already on your resume into boatloads of text boxes across multiple pages. You can ask it to do this automatically, but it'll do it wrong because it's a crappy computer code and your resume and personal life experience isn't in a universal standard format. Then they'll either reject you or ghost you. The 50-50 mix of that is pretty universal and doesn't depend on the hiring platform. When My Workday does reject you, the cut and paste email comes in the middle of the night at a random looking time like 2:13 a.m. or 3:35 a.m., sometimes on Saturday or Sunday, which likely comes from some one-click operation some HR human went through a few days before. Although I was initially interviewed at Relativity and Stoke, I have not had such luck from later applications. It's possible I've been put on some blacklist where they won't talk to me because I failed the first try, but there's no way I would be able to figure that out for certain. I've also noticed that only 8 out of 24 of my interviews have been from the later half of my applications. It appears the response rate is getting worse than it was even in 2023. When I have occasionally made it far enough to talk to a human, I have noticed that there are 2 types of interviewers: the engineers and the HR recruiters. Space companies tend to throw you straight in with the engineers to ask you about rocket design plus some canned beam loading and pressure vessel puzzles. These generally seem to expect me to have designed and fired a liquid rocket engine by myself and aren't really happy with me having contributed just some small part of a system like that. The other kind of interviewer is HR, which is more common in non-space companies. HR's first question for me is usually to explain what a liquid rocket is because they've never seen the words liquid and rocket put together in a sentence before. Usually these recruiter conversations just have me confirming all the information as they read it directly off my resume and application, whether I'm willing to relocate, whether I'm a US citizen, and I don't know, whether I speak English. I had one recruiter give me that same call 3 times over as many months and then never follow up with any actual interviews. ULA is one space company that outsources the first stage of its interview process to an outside recruiting company. On one of my early applications to ULA, I was invited for an interview within a few hours of applying. That was great. Then the interviewer, the person responsible for deciding whether I am a good fit for this job, did not know what it means for a job at a rocket launch company to be a console position. After this interview, I sent them pings once in a while trying to get an update, which kept getting pushed back. After 3 months, where this was the only outstanding interview I was waiting for a response from, I was unceremoniously rejected. The disconnect between the recruiter and the actual hiring engineer who needed a worker was too wide an abyss to bridge. The engineer didn't like my resume for some reason or another, which I'll never know because they're too afraid to tell me stuff like that, and I was thrown out. Professional recruiters are expecting to judge for non-technical qualities, but they are being made to ask technical questions which they have zero understanding of. There's no way to judge a person fairly like that. At one point, I was asked by a recruiter from a company that makes garage and hangar doors why I was looking for a job in Mankato. At that moment, I realized that recruiters have completely alien ideas about the reasons I would be looking for jobs and quite likely the experience their applicants are having. I am not looking for a job in Mankato. I am looking for a job anywhere and not finding it. I barely knew the job was in Mankato anyway, because these outside recruiting agencies hardly tell applicants any more than that they'll be working on the product. It doesn't occur to them that what the product is and how it's going to be used might be important to me. Do I want to apply my skills to Sentinel? No. That's an ICBM, a new nuclear missile that is being brought into existence in the modern day for some reason. I'd like to mention a selection of the worst offenders, rejections I received that range from morbidly funny to interesting. I've been rejected twice for a few jobs, probably when an automated system like my Workday and a human send messages separately. I already mentioned I've been rejected for a couple jobs I didn't apply for. The very worst subject line I've seen on a rejection email is "update on your application" with an exclamation point. Dude, that's just inexcusable. What, you want to keep me happy for the last 3 seconds? Just get to the point so I know which line to mark red on my spreadsheet. One rejection said in the email body that they appreciated taking the time to speak with me, but I had not been interviewed and thus had not spoken to anybody. No matter how courteous the message appears, if it says, "We know the job search is hard and frustrating," or is full of long-winded words of hope, it's always just copy-pasted, sometimes even across companies, not actually doing anything about it, just glazing over your resume in the pile with everyone else's. Empty words. A few online services advertise headhunters or job placement with aid by a professional human. You upload your resume, maybe fill out a profile, and they promise a human will get back to you shortly with your job options or something. I've sent my resume to Ivona, Davron, BOB Search, CSI Executive Search, TruePath, Stanton Chase, Recruiters Lineup, and Expert Executive Recruiters, and Experienced Radio Silence. I'm not sure if my resume is actually just collecting dust in there, or maybe the companies are using my data for some nefarious market analysis or selling it to advertisers. Maybe it's just some giant password harvesting scheme, or most likely they're just using it to train some pointless AI. My dad has an actual headhunter, a human who occasionally appears like a magical job genie, calling him unprompted with interview opportunities. After all this time, I still have absolutely no idea how to get an actual person to vouch for you like that. So back to the job boards. If I need to apply to 3,000 jobs, websites like LinkedIn, Indeed, and Space Crew are where I'm going to find them. Often when these websites have you register an account and make a profile, you can sign up for a weekly or daily digest of recommended postings, usually branded as a personalized job search aid where someone will personally pick out jobs that match your qualifications. The worst offender I've seen is WayUp, whose periodic email header is "Your handpicked jobs are in," falsely insinuating that thought has gone into the jobs it's about to show me and that any living hand has touched my profile in the process. The reality is these job board companies are pretending to care about you by applying a crude text scraping bot to your resume to look for matching strings. I could code one of these pieces of crap in 100 lines. No one is looking at these, save for some IT person checking the server is still powered on each week. All right, maybe I'm being too hard on these job boards. How could I know they're completely automated? After all, they also send me emails all the time like, "Hey, a recruiter at company has sent you a message. They want you to apply. They're looking for someone just like you." Because dental hygienist. This one comes from Handshake. Look, I know they train astronauts on dental work for long space missions and stuff, but I think hiring me as a dentist is a little forward, don't you? The closest thing on my profile to matching this job is the letter E. Honestly, I think these machines actually get tipped off by matching letters sometimes when the words aren't enough. If you are a human and you actively decided to send me this, you should change your career. Maybe you can go into music and IT like this, the most bizarre job posting I've ever seen. At some point, they figured out their AI had spit out some bullshit, and a few months later, they'd fixed it amusingly to this bland and even more worthless statement. All of these job boards are full of complete garbage just like this that's piling up applications that don't go anywhere. I've tried applying for some of those abundant remote SolidWorks jobs because it's just SolidWorks, and I can't get through to them. The hiring managers posting jobs here at best can't deal with them properly out of sheer volume, and at worst are maliciously posting ghost jobs, job listings which they have no intention of filling in order to instill fear of replacement in their current employees and make their company look like it's growing to investors with deep pockets. This ghost job thing is now common practice. It's hard to determine exactly how many job postings are ghost jobs, but I think the simplest explanation would be most or all of the no replies. That would be about half of all job postings. Now, I'm sure there are other bad reasons for companies to not reply to applicants, so we'll call half a reasonable upper bound for ghost jobs. As far as I can tell, Way Up is basically just a scam. I don't necessarily mean that outright, but it's just so atrociously bad at what it does, and it's kind of obnoxious about being like, I'm helping. Like their unsubscribe button going, wow, I guess you don't want a job. I've kept it up because it's honestly funny to get sent dog shit invitations that don't make any sense and imagine they were actually made by a human. You know what they say, comedy equals tragedy plus time. Especially because they always contain the phrase, we're looking for aerospace engineering majors for this open position, even if it's sales administrator at Doosan Bobcat. I tried the JobScan AI resume builder tool once and got this kind of stuff from it too. JobScan said I needed to add stainless steel to my skills section for a particular job. Ah yes, I'm very skilled at stainless steel. Why does this sound like a line straight out of Job Simulator? That was supposed to be satire. The kind of stuff that's being looked for in resumes and applications these days is so far removed from what makes real people actually good at doing stuff, it's nonsensical. And it's getting real people rejected for stupid shit that should be really, really trivial to resolve. I'm not just going to complain from my side. Hiring managers are having a lot of trouble finding people too. As we need to send more and more applications, recruiters have to sift through hundreds or thousands of resumes for each opening. This begets the use of AI tools and applicant tracking systems that let them work far more quickly. But the AI tools are kind of shitty, and everybody ends up fixating on a bunch of random buzzwords and throwing out everything that doesn't exactly match some arbitrary, pointless criteria, including formatting differences. Not mistakes, but formatting differences like having something bolded instead of italicized or putting dates and locations in a different order. So thousands and thousands of good resumes are getting thrown out, and we applicants are having to use more and more AI tools ourselves to get out the thousands of crappy applications needed to secure us an offer. This is a full-fledged arms race between job hunters and recruiters. We are beyond the point of tailoring resumes, applying to more jobs, or in a more targeted way. We need to figure something out because it's not going well for either of us. I'm hearing loads of stories of engineers at companies trying desperately to hire and having a ridiculously hard time finding candidates. In what's supposed to be the age of unparalleled connectedness, we are all being lost in the noise. The rarity of interview opportunities amplifies their inefficiencies. When I get an interview, I get one chance to prove my capability, my genuine interest, and my worth as a person who deserves an independent life in a 30-minute phone call where I will mainly be asked about my history conducting various design projects. There are combinations of words I can say that will cause me to move on to the next step, and there are combinations that will get me thrown out. I have no idea which are which, and the interviewer has some secret idea in their brain of what they want, an idea which is nuanced and difficult to describe. I feel as though I am being tested, and that if I don't answer everything perfectly, I'll be at a large disadvantage compared to other candidates. They won't tell me what they're looking for, and when I'm rejected, the company most often protects itself against me by not giving me the reason and preventing me from responding again. After this 30-minute test of soul, the company usually tells me to my face to expect a response within a week, then takes 2, 3, 4 weeks to send the email that tells me whether I said the correct words or the incorrect words. And so the feedback from the interview is 1 or 0, a binary result. Most of the time, I feel like I did quite well on most of the conversation, but had 1 or 2 things where my answers were weaker. I think this is a completely reasonable expectation for a 30-minute rapid-fire phone call where I'm expected to explain so much of my life and personality to someone I'm meeting for the very first time. I've been told in mock interviews with career counselors that my demeanor and explanations seem pretty good, and my resume seems decent to friends and counselors who've reviewed it for me. But it's literally never been enough. I've never said enough of the right words to get accepted into a company. I see success stories on LinkedIn sometimes from some of my classmates. One of them was a guy saying he just got a job working on Mars helicopters. Mind you, this was still months after we graduated. And I used to help that guy with his homework all the time. So I'm left wondering what they're looking for that I don't have. I can learn pretty much anything. Is there something inside my character that's just simply unhireable? If that's the case, then you've got to tell me. You need to have a reason to reject each person. Half-assing it because you let 5,000 applications pile up on your desk is not good enough. I'm constantly hearing that I'm not trying hard enough, that I should be applying to more jobs, that I should be selling myself better in interviews, while simultaneously feeling like I have no energy left to do this, feeling like I'm about to collapse and drown, looking down an infinite hall of locked doors. I have a friend who's applied to 2,000 jobs in the same time span as I. She has the same numbers. It has nothing to do with how hard I'm trying. I had a conversation once with my dad's real headhunter. The headhunter's so-called advice to me was to have a high GPA and to have previous work experience. Well, those are the 2 things I have no way whatsoever to get, so that makes my situation sound like some sort of inescapable sucks to be you. But I think what he said about what companies are looking for is generally true. Companies will always prefer to hire someone who's already very skilled at the job that needs to be filled because it costs a lot of money to train a new person, even just to get them up to speed. You can see this everywhere by reading job postings. Postings titled as entry level will have things like master's degree and 1 to 3 years experience listed as preferred or even required qualifications. It's universally common. Sometimes they're even more extreme, like this one which claims to be entry level but asks for a 2-year degree and 5 years experience. That means if you're just completing your degree, you need to have been at work for 3 years before you even took your first class. This paradox is the industry standard across the whole economy. The concept of the entry-level job has ceased to exist. Companies are instead posting jobs that pretend thinly to be entry-level while secretly hoping to hire experienced candidates, pay them a low salary, and leave us actual entry-level people with skills but no experience in the dust. Looking at the rejection rate for jobs that specifically say entry level or level 1 in their title is interesting in this context. That number is about 63%, much higher than the overall 53% rejection rate. So supposed entry-level jobs are rejecting entry-level candidates more often compared to ghosting them. And about half of my interviews have come from jobs that say they're entry-level. So I'm not fully sure what's going on here, but I think it might mean that entry-level jobs are being looked at more closely than other jobs. One last thing that I think hurts me in interviews is my desire to become an astronaut. That might sound a little counterintuitive because becoming an astronaut is the ultimate embodiment of developing new skills, becoming a bigger person, and all the qualities you're supposed to demonstrate as a candidate. But The desire to become an astronaut represents a desire to move on, to eventually leave the company for grad school or some other company or industry that builds bigger and better things, more important things. It means I'm not going to spend my whole life becoming the best maker of garage doors or airliner seats or ice cube machines the world has ever known. It means my career goal of personal growth doesn't mean moving up the ladder within their specific company. And all that money they spend training me to finally make them a profit, in just a few years it'll be gone again when I go away to actually move forward with my life. I've also seen evidence for this sentiment in a family friend who experienced much failure in a job search recently and is close to retiring age. In his case, companies are not willing to spend money on him because they will not get a long time with him before he retires. That one actually sounds presently illegal. Companies are not built to benefit their community. They are built to eat as much money as possible. And the hope of the chaotically curated rules of economy is that lots of money being eaten roughly corresponds to life being good for the people in the general vicinity. This is frequently not the case, and that is corporate greed. The unprecedented and unwarranted risk averseness in hiring that's preventing entry-level workers from entering the economy is a simple case of the same snowballing corporate greed we've all been watching consume us for years. At best, companies are indifferent to the damage their actions are causing, and at worst, they are intentionally attacking us to steal our livelihoods for profit. One of the most frequent responses I've received to my woes is, "You should be more open to different opportunities." So, is there anything else I can do? I can't get an internship because I'm not currently in school. I've already graduated. There's big talk of a pilot shortage in the airlines, but as long as they're not paying for people's flight school, the money sink needed to actually make a living sitting at the yoke is too high for anyone. I could maybe go and get a higher degree, but that would just be delaying these same problems. And I don't know what kind of program I'd actually be interested in. I've never met anybody with an astroentomophagy degree. Still, maybe I could find a place to do some things I find interesting. It has been 9 months since I've had an engineering interview. Currently, I'm still working part-time at the planetarium, and I'm very lucky to be able to do that. And I'm also able to work as a substitute in the schools. It's a bit of money, but not nearly enough for me to support myself on my own. Is this what I got a degree for? Spent $100,000 to do? Worked my ass off for 5 years doing calculus and coding? Dreaming of airplanes and rockets and spaceships landing on distant moons so that I can play Play-Doh with a bunch of preschoolers. I have been left behind. I have no outlet for my skills and the immense love I have for creating, achieving, and the world I live in except useless little machines and inexpensive passion projects. And the nature of the job search is that we don't have money to go out and look into the world very much to find each other who are having these problems. We're forced to keep our heads down by the situation we're in, and that's isolating. At the end of college, I felt weathered by the tests and challenges I'd overcome, the long walks over snow and ice, the hours spent struggling over homework problems late at night. When I triumphed over all that, I was rewarded with a few fireworks and motivational speeches, a small party, and a piece of paper with the empty promise that I now have privileges and obligations. Now I feel damaged by the job search. I thought that when I graduated, my big personal life journey was imminent, that I would soon be transported to some new place to make my own decisions about what I want to do, who I want to be, and how I want to present myself. But instead, I'm all the way back to where I was before I started, fucked out of 2 years of my life. I've gone nowhere. I've done nothing. After 500 applications, 2 years of being told again and again that I'm not worth it, I'm out of steam. One application recently asked for an essay about the hardest thing I've ever done. I gave the honest answer. I was rejected. Uploading resumes to company websites is just not effective. It seems like the engineering industry does not want me. It seems like they don't want anybody. That's sad because it's a waste of the effort that I put in to get my degree and of all the other people who work hard to make the university function. My path to space won't be a direct one. I'm still patiently carrying the dreams of my childhood and the enthusiasm of my adolescence. I am not the only one going through this. I do not think I am an outlier. I think that everyone who is looking for a job now and in the foreseeable future is facing a catastrophically inefficient and convoluted system which needs to change to make it easier for people to get jobs. People are starting to talk about this. We're seeing more news articles about ghost jobs, more understanding of the mechanisms behind the frustration so many people are facing. There are more of us out there. If you have a similar story to mine, I think you should share it too. Talking about it is a small step toward making things better for all of us. 500 plus applications per offer is not acceptable. You should not be putting up with the standardization of a system that's broken. Only the physical laws of the universe are immutable. This is an aspect of life that is invented and constructed by humans, and it can be changed. And if you're currently looking for a job, take notes about it like I have. Keep track of the dates, statuses, and responses from every application. The more of us collect that data, the more we go from blindly hitting walls of frustration in the dark to seeing a map of the failures of the hiring system. Lastly, when the rejections and no replies are piling up on your desk, resist the urge to feel bad about yourself. It is right and natural to feel bad about what is happening to you, but you must remember that this is not your fault. You are ready. You are capable. It's the companies that are blind to it. The last part of my message is for companies and lawmakers. The end state of all this is a situation where no one can get a job, no matter how qualified they are, and where a few wealthy hoarders glut on planets of imaginary money traded on servers, while the 99% rest of us are cast aside to survive on the leftovers of the world's resources. If what you want is anything short of this complete and total economic annihilation, then listen to my advice. Hiring managers are shoveling up thousands of applications for individual job postings, and we candidates are having to apply for thousands of openings to get seen at all. In this senseless inflation, everyone's having to resort to shitty AI resume analyzo bots that give no real indication of how good someone's going to be at a job. A simple solution to this, though certainly not a perfect one, is to cap the number of applications you'll take in for a job. Take the first 10 or 50 or 100, whatever amount you have the capacity to legitimately review as a human person in your job. And that means spending more than 6 seconds on each one. Doing this, we can run into the problem of furiously refreshing the site at 7 a.m. like it's the Star Wars ride at Disneyland, but at least we can be honest and immediately informed about where we're being seen and where we're not. Then we can hopefully reduce the use of hordes of half-assed applications, give people a chance that's better than that of winning the lottery, and get everyone hired faster. Next, don't put up fake job postings. Fake job ads should be illegal, meaning it should cost way more for a company to put one of those up than to actually hire for the position advertised. The government should give hell to all companies who try to pull this ghost job shit, which is just the company lying about how much they're growing to pull in easy cash they don't deserve. Job posting platforms like LinkedIn and Indeed must also do everything in their power to ascertain the integrity of every job ad posted to their sites. The internet was invented to connect people and bring them together. Use it to communicate. Don't use it to send an automated cookie cutter email every week to anyone who clicked a button. Your job board digests are not genuine. They're lazy and unhelpful. Kick out all of this ATS crap. All of it. You are the only person who can hire for your needs. Every manager is looking for something different, something that's hard to put into words for a short job posting, and that's okay because we're all human and complex. But when you try to let a machine do that job, you are clearly introducing big problems. Even if an AI is complex, even if it's a fully sentient person, it still isn't you. We are drowning in nonsensical, superficial, and conflicting resume requirements. Look at an application with your human eyes. Write a form that asks a couple questions important to you. Send an email or a LinkedIn chat to a candidate to get to know them in a genuine two-way conversation. Give them the attention they deserve. Because one day, all the workers with experience will grow old and happily retire, and we young people will still be left in the dark, having never gotten the chance to continue what you started.